Welcome to Fox 23 News at 6. I'm Shay Razi.
And I'm Sarah Whaley. Glad you're with us tonight. We begin with a story you'll see only on Fox 23. A family whose loved one was murdered in 2021 may finally get some answers.
Yeah, we told you about a 5-day manhunt in Okmulgee for the man accused of shooting a police officer. That led to yesterday's arrest of Christopher Harris.
Fox 23's Tanya Morzitsky is live with why the family, Tanya, says that arrest could finally bring them some justice.
That's right, Shay and Sarah. Thomas Folt's family tell me it's been 2 years since they've had any answers since Thomas passed away. And now they did tell me that Christopher Harris was the last person seen with him, and he's only come into the police station voluntarily to answer some questions. Now his sister, Shannon Foltz, tells me that her son will now grow up without ever knowing his uncle. Nearly 2 years later, Thomas Folt's family is left trying to answer questions to his son that they don't know the answers to.
I have to live with him, daily wanting to know what happened to his dad, and telling me I can't remember my dad's voice.
In the fall of 2021, his sister Shannon Foltz reached out to me saying her brother Thomas was missing, and days later his body was found in Boynton. The autopsy said he died from a gunshot wound to the chest. The case still remains open, and the FBI has since taken over with no person of interest in his murder. Shannon tells me the last person he was with was Christopher Harris.
They were kind of trying to find money, trying to find ways to get money, so they were turning in scrap metals together. Chris said that they were leaving and they ran out of gas. They were going to turn it and they ran out of gas or something.
Harris was the man who led Okmulgee police on a 5-day manhunt after allegedly shooting an officer last week. He was arrested in an Okmulgee motel Monday afternoon. She says they grew up with Harris.
We've known Chris most of his life.
Shannon says knowing Harris is arrested again, she's hoping investigators will look into his connection with Thomas's murder.
Since the time we found out he was originally released and was hanging out with Thomas, I never even knew that he had been going to federal prison for 8 years, and that in the month's time span of being home, my little brother come up deceased.
Shannon tells me she ran into Harris last month.
I stopped to ask him what happened to Thomas, and he was like, "Man, what are you talking about?" And I was like, after me and my mom talked to you and your mom that day when we were looking for Thomas, we found Thomas deceased, and then he stopped talking to me at all. I sent his mama the same message, and she blocked me on Facebook.
She says if investigators would have pressed Harris harder about Thomas's murder, he may not have shot an officer.
And I think that if they had not put him on the street prior, that the circumstances could have been different. Or if he had the support when he came home that he needed, maybe he wouldn't have been in a state of desperation.
Shannon says if you know anything about Thomas's murder, to please call police. And also I reached out to the FBI to see if now that Harris has been arrested, if he will be considered a person of interest in Thomas's murder. Covering News That Matters, I'm Tanya Morzitsky, Fox 23 News.